Today I would like to invite you to join me on a wee walk around the suburbs of Tokyo with the lovely Fuji X100V, which I used to practice some street photography. This is episode 2 of me shooting in Tokyo with the Fuji X100V. If you haven't seen episode 1, no worries, here's a brief recap. I rented a Fuji X100V for 2 days in order to get to know the camera better and evaluate whether it may be one to add to my arsenal. On day 1, I was out and about in downtown Tokyo and had lots of fun with the camera. And today, on day 2, I wanted to try a bit of a slower pace and explore a quieter area of Tokyo. So I was on the train to a station called Futako Tamagawa. The Tamagawa part of the name refers to a nearby river, the Tama River, which I always find to be a fun place to shoot because it's very spacious and offers some different kind of photo opportunities than the streets. But you know me, I actually enjoy shooting inside train stations quite a bit, and so that's what I started off with right after getting out of the train. Here's the first shot of the day. Initially it was the diagonal shadows that caught my attention, and then just as I was setting up the shot, this person came out of the shop behind and perfectly stood in the beam of light with the diagonal shadows acting as leading lines pointing at them. It's one of those being at the right place at the right time kind of moments. I'm pretty happy with this start. Here, I came across a mirror and tried to find a neat angle to get a couple photos of the people passing by. This one, I think, turned out alright. Oh, and of course, I gave in to the temptation of a mirror selfie. At this point, I made it out of the station and took this somewhat basic shot of a guy on a call. I like how the leaves frame his head and the off-center composition seems playful to me. That was the idea at least. Still not quite sure whether I like this or whether I find it boring.
Choose my next move. Your words hold power.
I think you get what I mean by the Tama River being a fun place to shoot, right? The open space offers opportunities for minimalistic photographs with just a few select subjects in a wide frame. I think this one turned out pretty nice. I like how the subjects are split into 3 groups and each are a little different from one another. One lone guy sitting on the right, 2 people enjoying a sit together, and then one guy standing as he's walking his dog. I like it. Here's a variation for reference that I think doesn't work as well. It's just 2 subjects and neither are standing. This can work as a balanced version, I suppose, but I prefer the one where the guy's standing and sort of takes the lead role, in a way, simply by standing and taking up more space in the frame. Alright, made it to Tamagawa. It's quiet, sunny, little sounds of water. Beautiful. It is lunchtime, and guess who has come perfectly prepared for this moment? I was having a jolly time enjoying a little lunch break by the Tama River. It was great. If you saw the first video I made on the Fuji X100V, the one last year, you'll know that what initially got me curious about the camera were the famous film simulation recipes. While they didn't really suit me because I'm just too picky with my colours, they are generally an incredible tool that photographers or enthusiasts can use to sort of skip the whole post-processing step, which many dislike. Before even getting to that point though, I know that getting a camera in the first place is a barrier to photography. Well, not entirely I suppose. As you might know, I'm actually quite the proponent of mobile photography because I think it's a great gateway to photography without having to commit to an expensive camera. If mobile photography is something you are keen to explore more deeply, I have something for you. This is the Leica Lux app. It's a photography app created by Leica that allows you to take photographs with lens simulations which simulate the look of real Leica lenses. Additionally, they offer a bunch of filters which are essentially like film recipes. A couple things that I appreciate in particular are the following. The filters are adjustable. You can set the intensity, which is great to avoid an over-edited look. Also, you can gradually add some grain, which helps to eliminate the over-sharpened look of iPhone photos. The lens simulations are really quite impressive. They're not perfect, of course, but when you get a feel for what could work well, they can produce some really good looking results. All of these photos I'm showing you were shot with the Leica Lux app. Apart from that, the app offers many more features that help you fine-tune your mobile photography. So if you enjoy shooting with your phone, or you simply don't want to commit to a camera yet and use your phone for that reason, check out the Leica Lux app. It's quite the upgrade to the mobile photography experience in my opinion. Thank you very much to Leica Lux for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the Tama River. After my little lunch break, I spotted this couple just lying on their backs enjoying the sunshine, and I got a minimalistic photo of them from a bit of a lower angle. Here it is, and I like this one. I think the minimalistic composition works well, and the way they just lie there has kind of a funny playfulness to it. You can't really see much, just two pairs of legs relaxed on some concrete with a deep blue backdrop. Here's a sequence of photographs that I would like to show you to give you a more realistic look into how sometimes I spot something that has potential and shoot intensively, and yet, unfortunately, don't end up with a great result. I saw this guy on the bike coming through which looked so out of place and random, which is what I thought could be interesting. And while all these shots aren't terrible, they're also rather forgettable, I find. And that's just how photography works. Some things work and some don't.
Você vai ver, não é só aqui que sol ilumina, coisas do além que vão além. Quando de repente é coincidência.
Here, I had moved a couple streets into town, away from the river, and was looking for a shrine that I had marked on Google Maps. On the way, I spotted these cute shadows of the tree's leaves. I like this one. It's so simple that I would totally understand if you think it's boring. However, I just really like these kind of leafy shadows, so I personally like it. I found the shrine, and it was lovely. As usual, it's sort of tucked away in some trees and offers a little quiet oasis. Someone appeared while I was there, and I was able to get this shot, which is just a basic shot of the shrine with the added element of this person that adds a bit of life to the photograph, which I appreciate. let's briefly talk about the camera. Seeing as it was the reason for this shoot, I was having a lot of fun, just like on my first day with it, and I was slowly getting used to it. I think there's a lot of value in the familiarity with a camera. I only truly get to understand whether a camera suits me when I become rather familiar with it and push it further and further. But even 2 days is a bit tricky to get that deep into it, I'm afraid. I was getting comfortable with it, but there were still a few question marks here and there, such as the difference between the preview image on the monitor and the actual RAW file, and how much I'll be able to push the RAW file and such. But overall, I do think this camera, or one of its predecessors, might become my replacement for the Lumix GX80 when that one dies. Here I had come to a cute shrine that, in the low afternoon light, offered many little bits of beauty that I wanted to capture with the camera. This can be things like shapes, textures, colours, lighting and such, or something like this here, where I just found it odd to see a somewhat noisy vehicle passing through the otherwise tranquil grounds of the shrine. I like this one. This feels like a photograph that immerses me in the perspective of the school kids here that seem to be on their way home. At the moment, this is still a mundane scene to them, but maybe in 20 years' time, this photograph will strike them with a strong sense of nostalgia. Here, I found this cool end of a street that from this spot appears to just lead to a steep drop into the city. I was practicing my patience and was rewarded with this person coming up the steps to add a little something interesting to the photo. I'm quite happy with this one. This spot turned out to be a very cool one where I could have lots of fun if I had the patience, which on this day I managed to bring along. I suppose I could so clearly sense the potential here that it was easy for me to be patient even with the fading light. You have to know, this spot was mostly quiet. There really wasn't much going on, so I had to wait for quite a while for something or someone to enter the frame. And even if someone entered my frame, that wasn't necessarily it. They might be wearing clothes that just blend in with the scene too much. But at last, I was able to get this shot, and I love it. This is exactly the kind of subject I was waiting for, a cyclist zooming past the stairs. By the way, this was shot at f9, ISO 160 and a shutter speed of 1/60th in order to capture some of the motion. What convinced me of this particular one though is the bright clothing, which makes the person stand out properly and the intention clear to the viewer. I don't want the subject to be missed even when the photo is just glanced at for a second. Anyway, I'm happy with this one, it was worth the wait. By the way, all the photos I'm showing you today were edited with my own Lightroom presets as a base. You can get all my presets on my Patreon. You can also find color grading tutorials and other more technical stuff there. I'll leave a link in the description in case you're interested.
So, I've spent some time here, I've had my fun. I was very close to leaving, but I think I actually got some worthy shots worthy of the wait. And I'm happy for now. I think we can go down there ourselves now, in case another photographer wants to shoot. I can become the subject. The photographer shall become the photographed. Ooh, sunset is still ongoing.
Well, I didn't get very far. This scene here was quite intriguing too, so I ended up waiting around here. I might have used up my supply of patience. I ended up leaving this spot without a clear winner shot. These are all fine, or even pretty nice, but I can't tell you which is the one. Maybe it's this one, but I'm certainly not as confident in this choice as I was with the last set. Here, I was experimenting a bit with the trains moving below me. I kind of like this one, I enjoy the atmosphere it captures. And with that, the sun dipped behind the horizon, the city gradually got darker, and I decided to head back to the station. There, I spotted these escalators, which I thought could maybe be an interesting photograph. It's nothing great, but I suppose it's not bad either. And this is the last photo I took with the Fuji X100V. I was on this train to Roppongi to return the camera in due time. It was great fun to rent this camera for a couple days. I learned a lot just about the feeling when shooting with this camera. While I had a bit of a rocky start with it due to some false expectations, which I told you about in my first video about the Fuji X100V, I think it is indeed a camera that suits my digital needs very well. But for now, my Lumix GX80 is still alive, and if it never dies, I guess I'll never need to buy the Fuji X100V.
Success. We have given the camera back.
After that, I met up with Melly in Shibuya because there were a couple things we wanted to check out before having dinner and then heading back to Tachikawa.
Being playful, making space to be inspired, find your music.
I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this second day of shooting with the Fuji X100V. Also, thank you to everyone who kindly commented some of their recommendations below the last video when I asked for other camera recommendations. Maybe I'll find a way to get my hands on some of those and make a video on them too. Anyway, before saying goodbye, I'd like to say a massive thank you to the lovely people supporting me and my work on Patreon. Thank you so much to each one of you. If you're interested in Lightroom presets, tutorials and stuff like that, you can check out my page via the link in the description. Also, I have a print shop, by the way, in case that is of interest to you, also in the description. With that said, I hope to see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.